Good Wednesday, everyone. I'm Cyrus Webb, and welcome to Conversation Daily News. Glad you all could be with us. Of course, you have your news headlines coming up on this hump day. Have a message from my book, Word That Choose to Live By. And in today's Entertainment Spotlight this week, I spoke with Darien Craig, the founder of Y'all Sweet Tea, on Conversations Live, the radio show, about his success and what it's been like for him to reflect on how it all started. You're part of that conversation today. Enjoy our broadcast. For Conversation Daily News, I'm Cyrus Webb with your Wednesday headlines. In national news, the Supreme Court leaves in place the admissions plan at an elite Virginia public high school. The Supreme Court on Tuesday left in place the admissions policy at an elite public high school in Virginia that some parents claim discriminates against highly qualified Asian Americans. The court's order, over the dissents of Justices Alito and Clarence Thomas, ended a legal challenge to a policy that was overhauled in 2020 to increase diversity without taking race into account. A panel of the Federal Appeals Court in Richmond had earlier upheld the constitutionality of the admissions policy at the Thomas Jefferson High School for Science and Technology, a school frequently cited among the best in the nation. The High Court's consideration of the case followed its decision in June of last year that struck down admissions policies at colleges and universities that took account of the race of applicants. The Fairfax County School Board overhauled the Thomas Jefferson admissions process in 2020, scrapping a standardized test. The new policy gives weight in favor of applicants who are economically disenfranchised or still learning English, but it does not take race into account. The effect in the first freshman class admitted under it was to increase the percentage of black students from 1% to 7% and Hispanic students from 3% to 11%. Both groups have been greatly underrepresented for decades. Asian Americans' representation decreased from 73% to 54%. For the current school year, black and Hispanic students made up 6.7% and 6% respectively of those offered admission, the school board said. Asian Americans represented 61.6% of those admitted, the board said. In more national news, Biden administration providing $1.5 billion to global foundries to make computer chips in New York and Vermont. The Biden administration said Monday that the government intends to provide $1.5 billion to the computer chip company Global Foundries to expand its domestic production in New York and Vermont. The announcement is the third award of direct financial support for a semiconductor company under the 2022 CHIPS and Science Act. The law enables the government to invest more than $52 billion to revitalize the manufacturing of computer chips in the United States, as well as advance research and development. The chips that Global Foundries will make in these new facilities are essential, the Commerce Secretary said on the call with reporters. They power sophisticated military equipment, electric vehicles. They assure smartphones have the latest features, enable fast internet connections for Americans. In addition to the direct funding, the government would also provide loans worth up to $1.6 billion, with a total combination of public and private investment expected to equal roughly $12.5 billion. In more national news, 2 adults are charged with murder in the deadly shooting at Kansas City's Super Bowl celebration. Missouri prosecutors said Tuesday that 2 adults have been charged with murder in last week's shooting that killed 1 person and injured 22 others after the Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl parade. The new charges come after 2 juveniles were detained last week on gun-related and resisting arrest charges. Police have said a dispute among several people led to the shooting, which happened even as 800 police officers patrolled the celebration. The 22 people injured ranged in ages from 8 to 47. According to the police chief, it was a mother of 2 and the host of a show that was killed. The shooting was the latest at a sports celebration in the U.S. A shooting wounded several people last year in Denver after the Nuggets NBA championship. In entertainment news, Beatles to get a Fab Four of biopics with a movie each for Paul, John, George, and Ringo. The Beatles are getting the big screen biopic treatment in not just one film, but a Fab Four of movies that will give each band member their own spotlight, all of which are to be directed by Sam Mendes. For the first time, the Beatles are giving full life and music rights to a movie project. Sony Pictures announced this week a deal that would dwarf all music biopics that have come before it, with the stories of Paul McCartney, John Lennon, George Harrison, and Ringo Starr spread out over a quartet of films. The films conceived by Mendes are expected to roll out theatrically in innovative fashion, with the movies potentially coexisting or intersecting in theaters. Precise release plans will be announced at a later date. Sony is targeting 2027 for their release. And finally, in business news, Wall Street starts holiday-shortened week on a down note, says the Associated Press. Stocks fell on Wall Street in afternoon trading on Tuesday to kick off a holiday-shortened week. The S&P 500 slipped 0.6% and is coming off only its second losing week in the last 16. The losses pushed the benchmark index further below the record it set last week. The Dow Jones Industrial Average fell 38 points, or 0.1%. The Nasdaq Composite fell 1.1%. Cyrus Webb, Conversations Daily News. It's on time for a message from my book, Words I Choose to Live By. Enjoy. Good Wednesday, everyone. I'm Cyrus Webb, and welcome to Words I Choose to Live By. Approach today as an opportunity to refocus, regroup, and remind yourself that you are just as worthy of the very best in life as anyone else. Now go out there and achieve it. Have an amazing Wednesday. We are part of my conversation coming up with Darien Craig of Y'all Sweet Tea in today's Entertainment Spotlight. Stay with us. You're listening to Conversation Daily News. For Conversation Daily News, I'm Cyrus Webb with your Entertainment Spotlight. Darien Craig, the founder of Y'all Sweet Tea, joined me on Conversations Live, the radio show, to talk about how it all began and its success. Here's a bit of our conversation.
Darien, thank you again for the time. Really do appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on. I'm excited, and like you said, I think it's a perfect platform to talk about Y'all Sweet Tea.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. And, here on the radio side, I'm located in Mississippi. We're celebrating our 21st year here on the radio here in Mississippi. But, of course, we have our worldwide audience as well. And, Darien, what I thought was so interesting when I was prepping for this segment, I went back when I was prepping and I watched your YouTube video that you have on your channel, and you were just talking about how it all began. What has that been like for you to kind of think about how this all started and where you are today?
And it's an awesome story, and looking back on it is something that's very special. Like you said, we're in the South. We grew up on sweet tea. We say the word y'all, I don't know, 1,000, 2,000 times a day, just organically. So I had the idea to start a tea company and name it Y'all Sweet Tea, just because that's the most Southern drink and the most Southern word that we could name it. And it just started small, man. I think that's the most important thing that I've tried to explain to people and to try to inspire other people is, yes, it's big now and there's flashy and we have all this big Facebook following and all of these things, but it started in my Nana's kitchen. I would go to Walmart and buy the sugar and the tea off the shelf at Walmart and just make it. And we would literally travel down the mountain from where my Nana and Papa live at and sell it at the pumpkin patch. And it was just a small thing. We made a couple $100, on the weekend, and I had big dreams for it, but I didn't see, there was never a clear path from the days that we were selling it as a liquid tea until where we're at now. That wasn't a clear roadmap.
Cyrus Webb, Conversations Daily News. We thank you all for tuning in to this edition of Conversations Daily News. But let's get on tomorrow's more news, message from my book, Words I Choose to Live By, and of course your Entertainment Spotlight. Until then, I'm your host, Cyrus Webb, saying as always, enjoy your day, enjoy your life, enjoy your world. Thank you all for choosing Conversation Daily News today. Let's go make today amazing. Take care.